engineering developed that. The chairs that you sit on, the roads that you drive on, that's all some engineer who sat in a room and figured that out. So it's very important, even though you may not think about it from day to day. There's tons of career options. Like I said, in every industry there needs to be an engineer. Google, everything you think of. Somebody engineered your iPhone, somebody engineered your clothes, somebody engineered your makeup. All of that is engineering. So you can think of any field that you could go into that needs engineers. There's high demand. I've never met an engineer who was unemployed by choice. So that's great. There's high demand. There's always an opportunity to be employed, or even if you want to just research. There's tons of things that need to be researched. And what was the kicker for me was the salary. So the salary for an average bachelor's degree for engineering is about $60,000. I don't know if you know the average salary. I mean, you guys aren't there yet, but usually when you come out of college and you have a liberal arts degree or something like that, you'll be happy to be making $35,000. So you'll be very comfortable as an engineer. And even better for me, I was a PhD and the average starting salary was about $95,000. So that's almost 6 figures coming out of school. So for those reasons, and my heart just wasn't in modeling. I felt like, modeling may have been a job, but engineering is a career. And that's where I really wanted to go with myself. So I went back to grad school. And this time when I went back to grad school, I made sure that I had this attitude that no matter what, I was going to try my hardest. And if I didn't succeed, then I could be okay with knowing that I tried my hardest and it just wasn't for me. And I actually did really well. This is some of my research. It may be hard to see here. But each of these blue little dots are in a computer program. And you click on that computer program and they have a corresponding calculation. And what I did through all these blue dots, this is just a very, very tiny screenshot of the whole computer program, was I created a computer program from scratch that basically tells you how much your electricity is going to cost using different types of reactors. So the parents might appreciate this cost of electricity, but about 0.034 cents is what I calculated using different reactor types. If you were a parent, you would get this bill in the mail and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a good price. So it's actually very behind the scenes work, but it's very important because everybody has electricity. And everybody wants to know what it costs and how it can be cheaper. So this little, equations actually factor into somebody's lives. So also just talking about a little bit more about my attitude. The attitude that I went back with was fearless. I remember that was the one thing I always said when I was getting down or having some problems, that I have to be fearless, that I have to get it together and do the best I can. And I also say in public at least, once I get home I can break down a little bit, but in public I'm going to be fearless. I'm going to go for it, and I'm not going to let anybody stop me. And if I'm wrong, you're going to have to tell me I'm wrong and explain to me what's right, because you're not just going to get one over on me just because you think you're a boy or you think you've been here longer. My brain works just as well as yours, and we're going to have a discussion about it. And my research went a lot better once I started having that attitude. So this is me. I won a couple of awards for my service and research, and I actually got to go to Washington to talk with different people advocating for nuclear power with some of my professors, because they felt like I had such a good presence and I did such good work. And then of course this is one of my proud pictures of me finally graduating with my PhD. So moving on to the work that I do now. So now I graduated in 2009, so I've been in the working world for about 2 years now. And I work at Argonne National Lab. Everybody's heard of Argonne? Yes, at least now, right? Yeah. All right, so Argonne National Lab is a Department of Energy lab, and we do a lot of different things. And the area that I actually work in is nuclear engineering. And again, going back to the kind of spy stuff that I thought might be cool, I actually turned it into a career. Who knew? Like, I had this little tiny inkling of a dream, and I actually, was able to find some way to make that come true. I'm not a spy. Just want to say that. But I do work in national security. And a lot of what I do is I look at different nuclear technology, and I talk to the government, and we figure out how we want this technology to be used, how we're going to regulate it, and how we want to talk to other countries about how to regulate their nuclear technology. So can anybody think of any news about any countries of interest with nuclear technology? Go ahead. Japan, right. What about Japan?
One of the reactors had an accident and it could have caused a lot of trouble.
Right. So one of the reactors had an accident. I actually got to work on, see some of those pictures and analyze what happened, what went wrong, and what was actually happening in the situation. And those were satellite images that were national security protected. So I got to basically give my opinion on that policy. As you can see, I'm very good at giving my opinion, so I'm glad it's my job. Ukraine, yes. There's a lot of different countries that have nuclear reactors, and they may not have the best security. So sometimes we work with them to try to limit the spread of technology. So that's what I do. I give my opinion a lot. I talk about nuclear technology. Sometimes I get to look at nuclear technology or even technology used in nuclear weapons as well. So it's kind of interesting. And I feel like I get to serve the country by, protecting everybody. We don't want a lot of these things to get into the wrong hands because they might be used against us. So that is what I do. And this is a picture of me. I actually get to travel an awful lot for my job. And that's a picture of me sitting on a panel at the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna. So I got to go to Vienna and have Wiener Schnitzel in Vienna. Yeah, even saying Wiener Schnitzel is just fun. So I'm going to Russia in October. So it's the first time I'm going to get to go to Russia. I'm excited. But I've been other places like Chile, I've been to Mexico, Jordan, all for work, talking to other nuclear officials about what they're working on in their technology. So it's a very fulfilling job, and they let me come off, get off work to talk to you guys, right? That's pretty awesome. I should be at my desk, but I'm here talking to you guys. So I find that to be a definite perk of working at Argonne. They really support outreach. And of course, I want to talk to you guys because I want you guys to come work with me one day. So, in my spare time, I like to sum up my spare time activities by saying I participate in awesomeness. Basically, I have a lot of friends and I travel a lot and I get to go out. I went to a toga party with some engineers. We were all at a conference and we decided that we wanted to have a toga party. So sometimes it gets a little silly when you're out and you're traveling in different countries. I think this was in Oxford that we had our toga party. And then I had a food fight. A friend had a food fight for a birthday party. So just because you're an engineer doesn't mean you can't have fun in your spare time and do everything that you want to do. So I think to sum up, I became an engineer. I wasn't 15 and was like, yes, I'm going to be an engineer and I have 5 patents and I like to study physics in my spare time. No, it was a very involved process. And if I could give you 4 tips for becoming an engineer, the 4 steps would be, number 1, you have to get the basics. You have to master math and science. There's no way to get around it. I always say, my friends who were writing papers, it took them a week to write a paper. When I went in, sat down for an hour, took tests, and the rest of the time was my free time. So there's drawbacks to math and science, but there's also really benefits. So if you want to do this, you have to put in the time to master math and science. Number 2, get involved, or what I like to call nurture your nerd. So basically, if you are interested in science and engineering, all you girls are here, so that's a good start. Come to these different seminars like this to hear about the different experiences that women who are in the field currently have. If you see a club that you want to join that's maybe, I know there's a race car club at the University of Illinois. They had a car club, and they basically made a car from scratch, and they got to race it against other schools. Like, that's pretty cool. And people give you money to do these things if you join these kind of clubs. Also, number 3, be fearless. Don't ever get scared. Don't do something don't not do something because you're scared. The worst thing you can do is not be that good at it. And you know what? That means the next time you'll be even better because you can't be as bad as you were the first time, right? So, don't be afraid to fail. And also, if there's not a club or something for you to get involved, don't be afraid to go out there and start these things up, like the women who started GYM. So proud of that, to hear that this is a student-started organization. That's awesome. Get out there, show them what you got.